Alright, in this video what we'll see is how to create a custom post type. So what do I mean by that? Now you'll see these lists are coming from a custom post type, and this is the featured image, this is the title, and this is the meta field. Actually these are coming from the tags. So now the main thing that we are going to learn is how to customize this table. So WordPress by default gives you only the title and the date, and these images are coming from featured images, these featured is coming from a custom meta box, and these are coming from the tags, and these are coming from the priority, which is menu order, which we'll explore in this video, and by default these are date. We'll see how to create this WP list table customizable as per our custom post type. So this is the main objective of this course. Now the problem that we are going to solve today is what you might have seen. We have added multiple number of posts. So here the post is nothing but movies. So what we are choosing here is we are specifically choosing a actor who is called Rock, and we are specifically maintaining his movies database, and we are only displaying the top movies of him. So even though we have multiple listing on this particular page, we are just displaying the most favorite or most uh, you can say a box of his hit movies only on the front page. For that we have two options. We can make the image as featured. When you make this image feature, that's only you will able to see this on the front end. Let me make Moana as a featured image so that we can make this in the front end, we can show it in the front end. So you can see this is a meta box which we have created. When I click on update, you'll see it will show up on the front end. So now you can also customize the order. By default WordPress will not give you to order your custom post type. Here we are also solving how to solve the sorting also. So WordPress gives you an option called menu order. So this column actually saves in the WP post, which is by default available, but no one use it. You can only see them in the WooCommerce post, sorry, products. Now what I'm doing is, if I make this 0, it will show up. If I make this 5 and click on update, so based on the ordering it will show. Now it has come at the bottom. So if I refresh this page, you'll see the sorting as well. So first black column will show up because priority is 1, second red notice will show up because the priority is 2, and third our jungle cruise, and the finally we have Moana. So if I make the jungle cruise as my favorite, then based on the order you will see on the third there would be jungle cruise. If I make this featured and click on update, and if you refresh this page, you'll see on the third jungle cruise. So here we are solving two things. The first thing is how to organize the WP list table, because it doesn't give you all the options which is actually there in the custom post type. We'll make this. And the second thing is we'll sort how the custom post type displays our post in the front end. Usually it does not allow us to sort, but we are making this as a sortable with adding a featured meta box, also by default WordPress menu order. So based on this menu order you will see the ordering. So based on the featured, that when it's featured, that's only you will be able to see the post front end. So in this video we'll see how to create custom post type. So if I click, so movies is actually a custom post type. When I click on add movies, you'll see a custom taxonomy. Previously we have used we have seen how to create categories. Now it's just a tags. You just have to type and it will autocomplete for you, and you just need to add. Similarly, if you have any tags already created on the actors term, so this is where you would be adding your tags so that it gets auto filled. So if I type QUI, you will see the tags will automatically autocomplete your names, and we'll see how to create this. Now we have a meta box, so you can see this meta box is added. This is similar to ACF, so but the only thing is we will be custom coding it. We have a checkbox, and if I click on yes or no. Based on that, these details will be updated. Now a WP list table, as I have already explained you, by default WordPress won't give you these much features, but we are going to add this in this video. Now we have a shortcode HTML. You just need to add a shortcode and then your data will be displayed in the front end. So these are the functions that we will be using to achieve this plugin. So this is episode number 47. In case if you are interested in learning WordPress development or a web development or a web designing or a UI development, I have a complete course for it. I would recommend you to start from HTML, then CS, then move into CSS, then JavaScript, then PHP, then WooCommerce, then WordPress theme development, then public plugin development, and then we have Laravel development. So these chapters, these courses are made in such a way that if it is made in such a way, if you are a zero in HTML, you will be a hero in HTML. If you are a zero in JavaScript, you will be a hero in JavaScript. So it's made in such a way. It's not completely theory, it's completely practical. It has like hundreds of 56 lessons, and these 56 lessons are actually practical lessons. So you'll learn how to create HTML and CSS, and you'll be converting from PSD to HTML. And as you learn these, you'll learn how to create PSD to Bootstrap. Bootstrap is nothing but a CSS framework. Similarly, for JavaScript, we have hundreds of lessons in JavaScript. These are practical based. You'll see how to create WYSIWYG editor, star widget editor, color mark list editor, and weather forecasting app. So similarly, you can see grocery shopping list. As you start from one, and if you reach to episode number 100, you'll see how to create custom chatbot, quiz games, Giphy site clone, IMDb clone. So again, this is zero to hero roadmap. In case if you like my videos, I would recommend you to fuel my coding journey by getting into the page and donate whichever amount you feel like having it, and I'll leave the link in the description. First and foremost thing, to make our plugin show in this particular page, what we have to do is we need to create a folder on the plugins folder where your WordPress is installed. Now we'll name this as film, FILM. Now you need to create a PHP file, so we need to pass these information to the PHP file. These are called metadata. So we will be passing metadata in the form of film.php will the form of comments. So let's do that. And now we have a name, we have a description, we have the version number, and we have the author for the plugin. So that's enough to show our plugin in this particular page. Now you'll see a page called a plugin called film manager. Now we need to create a custom post type. So create a custom post type, we have already seen. We'll be using init hook. We'll attach that function to it, and in this function we will write register hook, custom post, register custom post type, so that we can see our menu on the sidebar. So the first part is nothing but we have a set of names to be used. So you can see, if I hover, you'll see this movies, add new movies. When I click on movies, you'll see add new movies. So these are coming from the labels. Where what would be the name, what would be the singular name, what happens when I click on add new, what happens when I click on edit item. So these names, these are actually labels. We need to pass it as an array, and then we have a public. We are making this public because we have already seen in the previous video in detail. When you make this public, that's when you will see each post type will have a permalink. So this is only possible because of this public. See, if you make this false, it won't be available. When you add this show in menu, that's only you'll see the post available on the sidebar. So if I click on installed, so let me just activate this. When you make this show in menu, you'll see this in the sidebar. If not, you will not see in the sidebar. You'll not see the film in the sidebar. So again, there are multiple options. If you want this to be as a direct or a top level menu, you'll be using this show in menu. If not, you want this to be shown somewhere on the settings page. In that case, what you'll do is you'll just pass tools.php. Now you'll see your custom post type will be available on the tools page. Same way, if you want this to be available on themes, I think I'm spelling it right. Yes. If you want this CPT to be available on the appearance, you see it's there. Now if you want this to be available on the index, it would be shown on the index, sorry, dashboard, just over it, you'll see. Similarly, we have users, we have plugins. So based on that, your CPT will be available. You can see in the users, and if you make this plugins, so let's just make this as true so that it has its own top level menu. Now in for this particular post type, we want these things to be activated. Now if I refresh this, you will see the top level menu, and if I click on films, add new film, and this one more section which is page attributes. So this is called the menu order. So by default WordPress has a column for menu order. We are just asking asking the WordPress to add that feature into this particular post type with the help of page attribute, and thumbnail is nothing but the featured image. Now has archive. So has archive is nothing but, if you search for movies, you'll see the archive page that will list all the post. So if you want that, it will allow you. If you don't want that, just make this false. And this rewrite is films. By default, WordPress, what it does is it simply adds our post type. So if I click on it, you'll see this is a post type. By default, WordPress will add this way. So when I make the archive name this way. Now what I'm doing is I'm making this rewrite. Instead of custom post type, here in this case the custom post type is UIM underscore films. Instead of this, what I want the films to show up. That's the same way how I have managed in the previous plugin. Instead of custom post type name, I have managed my own name with the help of rewrite. And show in rest is nothing but REST API. If I make this true, you will see the Gutenberg version of page makes. The problem with Gutenberg blog editing is you won't be able to see this order. I tried so much time, I could not see it, so that's why I'm falling back to the classic editor so that we can see our page attribute. Now that's enough to have our custom post type ready. Now I want to add taxonomy to this custom post type. So again, we'll be calling init hook and we'll attach a function. So we have a init hook, we are passing the labels, then we are setting is true. Similarly, that's when you see this in the front end, or else it won't work. Sorry, on the back end you will see a cast button, and we are making this hierarchical true. So when I click on cast, you will see you are just you can only able to add image. Sorry, you will be only able to add tags. So this is just tags. If you want this to be a category, you just need to make this true. So there would be a category. So inside category you can have multiple subcategories. So we don't want that, we just want the tags to be shown, so that's why it's false. Let me add some cast. So I have added all the tags. Now if I click on add new film, and if I search for something on the cast, so let's say RO, you'll see the tags that gets added when since we have added this in the cast. So you can see Emily Blunt. Cool. Now since we have added let's try adding some values. So let's just add Mona first. So this is the movie, and these are the cast. The cast is a rock. So before that, let's add a meta box, so it will make some sense. So we need to call a hook add meta boxes. So we have a hook add meta boxes, we are attaching our function, and in this function we are customizing that this is a handle for the meta box, so this should be the name. So if you see there would be a new meta box with the title featured film, and then this is a callback function. What happens when this function, so when we call this function, we want some HTML to be added, so that HTML will write inside this function. So this is the slug for the meta box, and this is the where you want to show your meta box. So there are multiple ways. We can show this in the sidebar, we can show this in the normal way. So I'm choosing the normal way. If you want this in the sidebar, you can just click on side. We can make this side, and that's the priority. So if suppose there are multiple meta boxes where your meta box should show up, so I'm making this as a high priority. When you make this high, it will show just after your text edit. So that's enough. Now we need to add the input field. So here the input field is going to be checkbox, and by default when the page loads, what I want is I want the meta box to have the default value. So not the default value, but the recent value which is either checked or not checked. So these data, apart from the title, apart from the date, these additional data are going to get saved somewhere on different table. So when we say about the taxonomy, it's going to be in the terms table and term taxonomy table. When it comes to meta boxes, all the data will be stored in the post meta. So these data would be the data related to checkboxes, whether it's checked or not checked, will be stored in the post meta. So we have a function for that. So this function has some HTML. We are echoing the HTML, and based on that, whether it's checked or not, we receive the value from post meta. So post meta has direct access to the WP meta table, and based on that post ID, we have the key. So this is the key, and this is the value. The value is going to be either S or blank. Either it's yes or it's blank. So the underscore is because we are making this variable protected so that it can't be accessible. We don't want this to be accessible. WordPress, if you don't make this as protected, you will be accessible in the front end. So we don't want that. So we are making it protected so that only the custom post type or the one who knows the variable name can access it. Now in this key there would be either two options. Either it's going to get stored as yes or a no. We have seen post meta in the previous video completely how does it stores and how does the value gets manipulated. So I'm rushing a little bit. So either the value is yes or no is stored. If the value is yes, then the value checked will be applied so that you will have the box working on page load. So where is the film? We want film. Yes. Reload this page and you'll see a checkbox. Now let's add the name for the first movie, and I want this to be featured. Let's just make this as 5. So we want to add the image or a featured image and the cast, add, and the second one his name is, click on publish, and since the public is there, you will be able to see your permalink for this particular post type. Cool. Now let me add just one more so that we can see how we can customize the WP list table. So you can see by default title and date only shows up. So let me add some more items so that we can make use of the WP list table. And now I want to show you that our archive page also works. So before making this work, you have to change the permalink. So that's only this will work, or else it will show a 404 error. And also our permalink shows up just after our show in UI. Sorry, this is the archive name that we have given in the custom post type using the rewrite. Cool. Now let's get into the customization of. So we need to define the columns first. So for whenever you are going to manage the WP list table, it gives you a function called we'll use this function manage underscore. So this is the post type name, and then the keyword post columns. So whatever is there, it's actually the post custom post type name. So you can see you will be giving this name over here and along with post columns. And this function, in this function we will have some array that will hold the names that need to be displayed on this particular page. Let's do that. See, we have created an array called new columns, and we are naming this as ID, image, title, featured, cast, and priority and date. So these are the keys. So we'll use the keys to fetch data from the database and display it in the column names. So if I just refresh it, let's see how does it looks. The column has got populated, the column header has got populated. Now we need to add those details just over here. So now since we have used post we are going to use a similar hook. The syntax is going to be same, the post name, but here instead of post column we have post custom column, and we are setting the priority, and we are setting that we just need two parameters. Now we need to use if condition, whether the id comes show id, whether the thumbnail comes use the appropriate function to get the thumbnail, whether the title comes use the appropriate function to get the title. So that's it. That's very clean and simple. If the column is typecast, get the terms. If the column is id, get the id. If the column is priority, get the page attribute with get post field function. We just need to pass the column. And similarly the post, if you want the image, we are using the featured image. We are passing the featured, sorry, this is not featured image, this is the checkbox. So we'll be using get post meta, similar to how we access the wp underscore post meta. Get post meta is the function which will interact and get the data. This is the key, and we'll be getting value. If it is yes, then yes. If it is no, the value would be blank. So if there is no value, it would be blank, and we'll be displaying no. And this is for the image. Now if you refresh, based on the column, you will see the value gets fetched and displayed. And finally we will be working the shortcode. So we need to define the shortcode with add shortcode. So this is going to be the shortcode. We will be using this in this way. So let me just create a new page and use a shortcode. So I have created a page, my favorite rock film, and I have used the shortcode. Let's see. It has no HTML rendered, so it will just show you the shortcode. Let's use the, so here in this case we'll be just using a query called meta query, where we need to pass the query based on the featured film. If it is yes, then display only those films. If it is no, then we won't be using yes, or we will be just checking in the meta query. Since it's the custom post type, we have wp query which takes care all of the query. We don't have to write custom query. We have a wp query class. We need to pass the argument. Inside the argument there is something called meta query, and in the meta query we will be passing the key, which is for the checkbox we have used underscore something, and we'll be passing those, and based on that the query would fetch the value and display it in the form of HTML. It's very simple. As said, this is the argument. We are passing the post type, we are passing the how many pages you need, and we are passing the meta query. This meta query passes the featured frame. If it is yes, then display, then get those, and we are setting the order by as the menu order. So we have something called page attribute that has the attribute menu, that has the value menu order, and order in the form of descending order. Sorry, order in the form of descending. If the order is not set, then make this descending. Since we are already making the order as ascending order, we'll get the ascending order. And then the post count. The post count is nothing but if it is -1, all the values should be displayed. That's what we are displaying here. So based on this query, we are passing it inside the wp query, and wp query runs the while loop to fetch all the values required to be displayed on the. So this gives you the id, this gives the title, this gives the menu order, and this gives the image, and this gives the tags, and based on that you will have the HTML in the form of list item. If I refresh it, since we have not made any image featured, that's why it's showing up no featured image. Let me make one or two featured image. Let's keep Moana as featured image, and let's keep red notice as a featured image, so that it gets displayed on the front end. So after displaying this on the front end, there is again a challenge of sorting. So the sorting will fix it in the form of, I'm sorry, there is one module we have completely missed. When I click on save, so these checkbox value has to get attached attached with the hook which is responsible for saving this. So let's do that. So when someone saves the post, so this is save post, attach this function so that our value get stored into the wp meta post, wp underscore meta post meta. So we are checking whether the whether we are currently whether we are currently properly in the post type. So if we are currently in the post type, and we have, if not, then return it. Return run, what it means is don't run the code which is below. We are just saying whether we are in the post type. If yes, whether in the UI monk film custom post type, yes, then execute the next line. And we are again checking whether the value is set for the featured image. If it is yes, and if it has some values, then update the post WP list table. If not, delete it. So that's enough. If I click it and click on update, and similarly, I don't think I have saved this page. I think I have to refresh this to make this work. Update. So now we have two featured image. So these featured image will be displayed in the form of list item, and I want to make Moana as first. So in that case, I just have to make this smaller, let's say 1, and we have to make the red notice something greater than 1. And first Moana will show up, then we have red notice. And yes, based on the order, for Moana it's 1, and for red notice it's 3. If I refresh, I'll show up. Similarly, if I want to make let's say Black Adam to be displayed on number 2, I'll make this featured. So by default it's 2. I have made the order as 2. So we have, in the order of sorting, Mona 1, Black Adam 2, and Red Notice 3. In case I want the Black Adam to be just below Red Notice, what I will do is, where is my Black Adam? I'll make this greater than 3. So let's say 5, and now the sorting will be proper. You'll have the Black Adam at the third position. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening.